Hey guys, I wanted to talk today about um, judgment versus what we might call observation. So, there can be a lot of confusion with spiritual awakening and being on a spiritual path about judgment because we might be told not to judge others. And then we might think that that makes us very vulnerable to being taken advantage of because we're not trying to judge. Now, judgment and observation are different things. I want to highlight the difference there. So, let's say that you have a friend or a relative, someone who you love and care about, maybe, who always asks to borrow $5. And you give them $5 and you never get it back. And this happens several times. You give them $5, they say, lend me $5, I'll pay you back, I promise. You lend it to them and you never see the $5 again. Okay, so let's say that this happens. Now, let's say that you don't want that to happen. Maybe you don't have a lot of money to lend. Maybe you need the $5, whatever the case is. Maybe you observe that the way they're using that money is not to their benefit. Whatever it might be, it doesn't really matter. You just decide that this is not something that you want to continue. Now, so they come and they ask you for $5 again, and you say, I've observed that every time I lend you $5, you never pay me back. And so I'm going to say no. Now, they might get very upset. I'd say probably the more identified they are with their ego, the more they will get upset. They might deny that that ever happened. They might say, oh, I paid you back, you don't remember. And you need to be very careful that you're actually remembering events correctly because maybe they did pay you back. So again, we really want to observe Socrates, you could say mantra, or, this very famous phrase, as for me, I know nothing. And that's really where we are. All we know is that we exist. What we are, we don't really know. We need to be awake to the fact that we're not the body, we're not our thoughts, that our thoughts, our judgments are often wrong. Some thoughts are more aligned with reality than other thoughts, but it can be very difficult to determine which thoughts are aligned with reality and which ones aren't, especially when they're our own. So again, keen observation very often tells us which thoughts are actually true or not. So, person asks for $5, we've been observing that we never get our $5 back. And let's say that that is an accurate observation. They may not agree, or they may create an excuse. Oh, that's because this happened. I promise this time I'm going to do it. And you might decide to trust them. Again, you might decide, okay, I'll give you one more shot or whatever it is. You might also decide that even though they aren't paying you back, that you don't really care. Maybe you have so much love and affection for this person. You've been observing this pattern and it doesn't really bother you. Maybe you even say, you know what? Don't worry about it. Here's $5. You might say, I've noticed you never pay me back, so I'm just going to give you this. Again, if they are a typical ego, then most people are, doesn't make them evil, doesn't make them bad. It just means they're asleep. They're a little confused. They probably won't be comfortable with that statement. So, they will, again, either make excuses. Oh, here's why I didn't pay you back. Or I promise I'm going to pay you back. Or again, even denial. No, I paid you back. I remember. And again, they may not be being dishonest. They may really think that they paid you back. Confabulation is a thing where the brain makes up something. And this is something that, again, we're all prone to. So, again, we don't need to decide that someone else is a bad person or evil person. That's judgment. So again, observation, I observe that you're not paying me back. What do I want to do? How do I want to proceed? Do I want to point that out to you? That might be the right thing to do. It might not be. Do I want to go ahead and give you the money, not point it out? Do I, again, try and change the relationship and say, I notice I'm never getting paid back, so here is a gift. I love you. I see you need the money, so don't worry about paying me back. You never do, and I don't need it. So here you go. Again, there's no one awake way to approach the situation. It really depends on circumstance, your circumstance, their circumstance. If you've got money to burn, this person doesn't, you love them, you see they're putting that money to good or necessary use, maybe you just say, hey, you know what, here's $10 and don't bother paying me back, just take it. Again, there's not one way to approach this. Now, judgment, on the other hand, is, oh, that person keeps taking my money and they're such a jerk. They know what they're doing. They're stealing from me. They think I'm stupid. They think I'm so stupid I don't know what they're doing. Well, I'm on to them. Or that person is dishonest. Or that person is manipulative. All these things are judgments. We don't know any of these things. We might have a hunch, and again, our hunch might be correct. But we need to be very careful about assuming that just because we're awake, we may not be completely awake. Just because we are awake, that means we're right and that our judgments are right. So judgment, observation, two very different things. If I observe that I'm being taken advantage of, then I might do or say something in a calm way, in a non-reactive way. And again, how do I know whether I'm being reactive? I can feel it in my viscera. We can call those the chakras, we can call it the voice. I don't really care what you call it. You can feel it in your viscera. Is there a reactivity? Is there a constriction or contraction there? Then that means that you are probably not coming from an objective, non-judgmental place. Now, once you become aware of the constriction, you can then spot that this is driving you to make certain sorts of judgments about that person, to create a story. Because usually this is what happens. We have a situation comes up, reactivity comes up. Eckhart calls it pain body. I don't really care what you call it. Again, I'm not that interested in the names of things. Names point to things. It's the thing itself that we want to be aware of. So I feel this tightness in my chest or my gut or my heart or my throat as a result of this. That makes me feel unpleasant, and then it starts to drive a certain chain of thinking. My mind starts to look for, why do I feel this way? And then it says, oh, it's that person. They keep taking money from me and not giving it back to me. And so we feel threatened on some level, or we feel belittled. Again, very often the ego says, oh, they don't love me, or they don't care about me, or they're trying to put me down in some way. The ego loves that because it strengthens the ego. Ego can then fight against that. Okay, I need to show them who's boss. I need to show them that they can't disrespect me. They can't disrespect me. I'm that important that they just can't do that. So again, if we don't have meditative awareness, we're probably not going to spot this. So I'm talking about some fairly high level stuff, but if you're a student of mine, I think that you're there. So again, we have judgment, we have observation. We observe a pattern, we may need to do something about it. We may need to make a decision, we may need to say no, we may need to distance ourselves from someone. If I observe that my spouse is abusive, verbally or physically abusive, then do I really need to put myself in that environment? To what benefit am I staying in that environment? What am I hoping to achieve by staying there. It doesn't mean that I need to say my spouse or my loved one is evil. It doesn't mean I need to say that they're depraved or there's something wrong with them. I don't even need to believe that they should change. This is very important because true love doesn't really want someone to change if they don't want to change, even if they are killing themselves, even if they are killing us. It doesn't mean we can't get out of the way. It doesn't mean we can't, bring ourselves to safety. But true love is really accepting what is as it is. That's true compassion. Everything is as it is. It's exactly how it needs to be. And in the next minute, it's going to be different. And we play a part in that, but we're not responsible for that. Okay, we play a part in that, we take part in that, but we can't take credit, full credit for anything, and we can't take full blame for anything. So when people are telling you, you're a genius, you're amazing, you've done this, you've done that, in your mind, you need to know that's not true. It simply isn't. And at the same time, when someone comes at you, you're a jerk, you did this, you're so evil, you caused this and that situation, in your mind, you know that that's not the whole story. It's not completely true. You may have played a part. You may have played a very important part. And you may want to look at the role that you play in both good and bad situations. Maybe there is something that can change in the future that will avoid what we might call bad situations and help promote what we might call good situations, but maybe not. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. As always, let me know if there are any questions. You know that I'm here for you. You can message me. We can do video conferencing if necessary. We can even text some if that's, there are many different ways in modern life that you can reach out to the teacher for help. And I really want to be here to support you in your practice as much as I'm able to. Okay? Namaste.